Ah, the infamous friend zone. It's the relationship purgatory, the place where genuine interest goes to die a polite, agonizing death. If I had $1 for every confused, heartbroken yet objectively decent guy who sat on my couch and asked, "But Doc, I was nice to her. Why did she pick that arrogant jerk?" I could probably retire and buy a small island. Let's face it, the story of the good man finishing last is a dating cliché for a reason. And today, we are going to crack open the psychological vault and expose the messy, often contradictory, and deeply human reasons why women place seemingly wonderful men in that dreaded platonic holding pattern, the misleading map of the friend zone. First, let's be brutally honest about the term itself. The phrase friend zone rose to fame on the sitcom Friends back in 1994, describing a situation where one friend, usually the man, harbors unreciprocated romantic feelings for the other, usually the woman. While it sounds benign, in reality, this concept is often toxic because it frames friendship as a transactional stepping stone. Think about it. When a man says he's been friend-zoned, he is often implicitly arguing that his investment, his kindness, his listening, his emotional support, should have purchased him a romantic ticket. Friendship is treated as a currency to be spent for potential future romantic gain. When the romantic interest doesn't materialize, he feels betrayed and victimized, leading him to accuse the woman of leading him on or simply being manipulative. This subtle victim blaming is precisely what makes the term so problematic. It implies that a woman who is simply being honest about her feelings is somehow at fault for not reciprocating. In truth, the friend zone is a complex relationship dynamic, a sort of middle ground between definitive acceptance and outright rejection. The person doing the friend zoning wants to keep the connection. They value the friendship, after all, but lacks the crucial spark needed for romance. For the man stuck there, it's a torturous state of ambiguity, constantly wondering if his next move will finally tip the scales, or if he's just setting himself up for more pain. The nice guy. Archetype. When kindness hides an agenda, we have to draw a crucial distinction here between a genuinely good man and a man suffering from what we call nice guy syndrome. A genuinely good man is kind, cooperative, and respectful because that is who he fundamentally is. He is altruistic without expectation, and his desire to be a supportive partner flows from self-respect and integrity. The nice guy, however, is masking a deep insecurity beneath a facade of overwhelming accommodation. His niceness is often feigned, insincere, and fundamentally manipulative. As one commentator put it, almost everything the nice guy does is consciously or unconsciously calculated to gain approval or avoid disapproval. The classic hallmark of the nice guy is the covert contract. He operates on the hidden belief that if he performs a specific action, takes her out for a luxurious dinner, spends hours listening to her problems, acts like her gay best friend, he is entitled to a specific reward, usually sex or a relationship. When this uncommunicated expectation isn't met, the contract is broken, and he reacts with anger, frustration, and the familiar cry of, "I would have treated you like a queen," often while simultaneously calling the woman vulgar names. The irony is that the nice guy puts himself in the friend zone by failing to be direct about his intentions. Instead of asking a woman out confidently, he tries to slowly ease his way into a relationship under the guise of friendship. This lack of honesty and assertiveness creates a deeply weird energy, an undercurrent of manipulation that women instinctively pick up on and find deeply unattractive. The science of sexual selection. Why dominance outranks availability. To understand why the man who seems perfect on paper gets friend-zoned, we must look at the powerful ancient drivers of human mating preferences, which are separated into two distinct, often conflicting, categories: short-term and long-term strategies. For a short-term relationship, or a fling, women often prioritize what evolutionary psychologists call good genes indicators. These are traits linked to biological fitness, masculinity, sex appeal, physical attractiveness, and crucially, dominance. This is why, in the short-term dating market, like hookups, some research suggests women may choose men perceived as assholes. These asshole behaviors often clumsily signal confidence and charismatic dominance. However, for a long-term committed mate, marriage, Women shift priorities dramatically to seek good investment indicators. These traits signal a man's ability and willingness to protect and provide. Economic resources, ambition, industriousness, emotional stability, kindness, and commitment. The central dilemma for the man stuck in the friend zone is that he overwhelmingly checks the boxes for good investment traits, kindness, availability, support, but fails miserably in projecting the magnetic qualities associated with good genes, dominance, assertiveness, and perceived confidence. He presents safety but lacks excitement. In essence, women are often looking for the hero prototype, a man who is both supportive, nice, and dominant, attractive. The man who is merely nice but lacks the strength to stand up for himself sends a subconscious red flag. If he can't stand up for himself, how can she believe he will stand up for her or their future children? The unattractive traits that create platonic barriers beyond the broad evolutionary conflict. Specific behaviors exhibited by the too nice man actively repel romantic attraction and cement his status as just a friend. The energy void of unassertiveness. One of the most profound psychological barriers is the sheer lack of assertive energy. When a man is so terrified of appearing aggressive that he becomes completely unassertive, he leaves an energetic void that his potential partner perceives as a lack of chemistry. The core issue is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being seen as creepy, and fear of losing the relationship altogether. This internal conflict is palpable. He wants passion but communicates politeness and fear. When a woman interacts with this man, she doesn't feel sexual tension. She feels comfortable, safe, and sometimes, frankly, bored. The problem of over-accommodation and availability. We are constantly taught that being there for someone is the bedrock of a good relationship. But in the early stages of dating, being constantly available and immediately responding to every text, call, or request screams neediness and a lack of a fulfilling independent life. As the famous quote goes, "We teach people how to treat us." If you constantly put someone else's needs before your own, you teach them that your needs are secondary. This over-accommodation is viewed not as kindness, but as a lack of self-respect. Neediness repels everyone, not just potential romantic partners, because it signals that the man is not whole without the woman, and women generally want to join a man's life, not become his life. Trying too hard and the desperation vibe. I recall a client who was technically a good catch, successful, attractive, and kind, but he couldn't get past the first few dates. His flaw? He felt compelled to prove his worth immediately. He would share his life story and his ambitious plans on the first date, effectively revealing the whole movie trailer before the woman bought the ticket. The nice guy mistakenly believes that listing his credentials or showering her with overly romantic gestures right away will cause attraction. Instead, it evokes a please-like-me energy of desperation that backfires spectacularly. Attraction is driven by curiosity, tension, and a healthy back and forth, not by a man attempting to win the woman by demonstrating his utility. The shadow of trauma and attachment styles. The psychology of attraction is rarely rational. Often the choice to embrace toxic dynamics, or reject healthy ones, is dictated by the emotional blueprints laid down during childhood. Our attachment styles. The nice guy who finds himself friend-zoned might embody an insecure attachment style, specifically the avoidant type, surprisingly. Though this sounds contradictory, individuals with an avoidant style often prioritize extreme independence and feel uncomfortable with emotional closeness due to past experiences of rejection or neglect from caregivers. Conversely, the woman doing the rejection may also operate from an insecure style. A woman who grew up with inconsistent or abusive relationships might subconsciously normalize that dynamic. She might accept abuse from the exciting asshole because it feels familiar, having learned to equate her value with the brief moments of praise given by her abusers. The nice guy, who offers stable, non-dramatic love, might feel foreign, even boring, to her emotional system. Furthermore, an avoidant woman might actually reject the overtly available, excessively kind man because his proximity feels threatening. To an avoidant person, emotional closeness can trigger stress and a loss of autonomy. A man who is too eager to commit, too available, or too expressive of deep feelings might trigger her deactivating strategies, causing her to withdraw emotionally, end the relationship, or yes, place him firmly in the friend zone to maintain emotional distance. His niceness is perceived as unwelcome pressure. The rejector's perspective. Why she puts the brakes on, it's easy to vilify the woman for friend zoning a seemingly perfect partner. But let's examine her reality. She is caught between valuing a genuine friend and being honest about her romantic desires. Firstly, attraction simply cannot be forced. As one study confirmed, even if a man has all the traits a woman claims to want, loyalty, caring, if there is no sexual or romantic attraction, the spark is absent. The man who pursues a relationship for years simply because he was nice assumes that the woman owes him the emotional debt of attraction. She doesn't. Her non-reciprocation is an exercise of her fundamental right to choose. Secondly, cognitive biases play a fascinating role in justifying the decision to friendzone. When researchers compared the perspectives of the friendzoning person, the rejector, and the friendzoned person, the rejected, they found distinct rationalizations. The friendzoning person often rationalizes her decision by attributing undesirable traits to the rejected man, e.g., he was not good enough, he was too insistent, he had some bad trait. For instance, many rejectors rated the friendzoned person as more unattractive, unambitious, or less passionate compared to their actual or ideal partner. This perceptual downgrading helps the rejector feel confident in her choice. Conversely, the rejected man often rates himself as quite desirable but attributes negative motives to the woman, e.g., she's taking advantage of me, I'm a backup option, she only wanted to get rid of me. This highlights a universal psychological phenomenon. To protect self-esteem after rejection, we often devalue the person who rejected us or assume they had nefarious intent. The truth, however, often lies in the asymmetry of perceived mate value. The woman simply perceives her desirability to be higher than his, leading her to seek someone closer to her ideal standard. In summary, the good man who gets friend-zoned is often not rejected for his niceness, but for the absence of traits she prioritizes: attractiveness, confidence, status, or dominance. He is usually found lacking in passion, attractiveness, or dominance compared to her ideal partner, suggesting he fell below her necessary threshold for romantic involvement. The genuine path out of purgatory, if the goal is to move from nice guy to good man who is also desirable, the answer is not to suddenly become an aggressive jerk or to play games. The solution lies in developing authentic self-worth and genuine masculine energy, which centers around integrity, assertiveness, and mission. Embrace assertiveness and boundaries. A genuinely good man is kind, but he is not submissive. He sets clear boundaries, respectfully says no, and is unwilling to be treated poorly. Assertiveness is the opposite of the nice guy's manipulation. It means being honest about your desires, whether it's asking for a raise or asking someone out. Learning to set boundaries communicates self-value, which is fundamentally attractive. Focus on your mission, the velvet rope effect. The most powerful change is developing an independent, purposeful life. A man must find his mission, his hobbies, and his goals independent of dating. Women are attracted to men who have a life that is already happening. This is sometimes called the velvet rope effect. When a man lives his life fully and intentionally, dating other women, pursuing his passions, and not being constantly available, it signals desirability and confidence. You aren't doing it to make her jealous. You are doing it for yourself. And the side effect is attraction. Congruence. Aligning words and actions. The man who gets out of the friend zone is congruent. He accepts his desire for sex and intimacy, and he is honest about his interest from the start. He doesn't pretend to be just friends when he secretly wants more. By integrating kindness with confidence and clear intentions, he becomes the desirable hero who commands respect and generates excitement. The final word, conclusion. The friend zone is less a penalty box imposed by women, and more a self-built cage constructed by men operating on hidden agendas and misplaced expectations. The psychology is clear. While kindness and commitment are prerequisites for long-term love, they are insufficient on their own. Romantic attraction requires tension, confidence, and genuine self-respect, traits often sacrificed by the nice guy in his desperate quest for approval. To truly win, a man must discard the manipulative contract. embrace his own value, and understand that confidence, not subservience, is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Stop waiting for permission. Start living a life she wants to be a part of.